Hello everyone, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc. and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc. and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc. and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency level so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching, and hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel, as you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day. How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are having a great and exceptional day. Before we get started, as always, I ask you to do great free things, like, share, and subscribe. Can't ask for more than that. But anyway, so today's conversation is really more of a rant. Excuse me. It's really more of a rant today because, as I get older, as a man, I'm, trying to work towards certain things. And, now that I'm officially in my 40s, the rules of engagement of life have changed. And, the things that I'm going after have changed. And my perspective is changing. But with that being said, I know I can't go about the same old, because 10 years from now, I will be 50 years old. So this is something, that I take into consideration. So with that being said, the main reason why I started this channel back years ago was I wanted more and more people. I was inspired by Dr. Boyce Watkins. I can say that with all sincerity. He inspired me to want to have my own channel because I love it. I never forget, I was at an old job. I stood up in my cubicle. I was about to go home. I did a big, good stretch. And I looked around at everybody. That was majority of the people were older than me. And I said, this is not for me. And I said to myself, this is not for me, because when I look at somebody that's older than me, as far as an older man, it's either going to be two things. Either I'm inspired to be like him when I get older, or I'm inspired to not be like him when I get older. And in that particular job, and this was years ago, like in 2017, I was just not inspired by, my elders. And I'm not mad at who they are and who they are. As far as, majority of them, they were in the military. They were getting a military pension, which was deserved. They were getting money from the VA, which is deserved. They were making great six-figure salaries, but they were just not happy. I've never been around so many miserable men in my life who were at least 10 to 15 years, in some instances 20 years older than me. The most miserable. And I'm like, so I'm saying to myself, this is what I'm supposed to aspire to be. This, when I get in my middle age years, when I get into my 50s and 60s, this is who I want to aspire to be. I might have more money, but all of them had more debt. They had nicer cars, bigger houses, but they had more debt and they were miserable. They were living, quote unquote, the American dream. They were married, they had kids, but all I would ever hear these men do is complain about their wives and their kids all the time. I mean, I used to call this place the Crybaby Network, because it's literally these men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. All they would do was whine like a bunch of little babies. I'm in my, mid 30s at the time, and I'm like, is this what I really want to aspire to? Just because they make almost 200,000, or they might be making $200,000 a year. They got all these degrees. They got all the credentials that say that I'm successful in life, but they were of another generation. So compared to their generation, these are baby boomers. They were like, hey, I made it. I'm successful. And I'm looking at them like, in my eyes, you're miserable. Do I want to aspire to be this? Absolutely not. Hell no, I'm good. So the thing is, it's like, during that time frame, it's like, yeah, I always have so much to say. Working at that place, I did not have a lot to say, because I was just I felt like I was in prison. I just got to go home. We've all had jobs like that where we just feel like we're in hell. We feel like we're in prison. The only difference is we get to go home. We have bad bosses. The co-workers suck. The hours suck. The location really sucks. And that's been a beautiful thing about the pandemic, changing the culture of remote working, and more young people, like I said, coming out of high school and college nowadays, trying to get a remote working job and a passive income job is on their mind like you wouldn't believe. Just like it's on the mind of a lot of corporations, to how can we get more robotics and automate our processes and procedures so that we don't have to have as many employees, or at least as many full-time employees. These are things to take into consideration. But with that being said, it's like I chose this topic as it's a new day for a lot of men, because the beautiful thing is, and it's not just, I'm not trying to quote unquote sound chauvinistic because it's been a new day for women for a long time as well. But it's really a new day for a lot of men because a lot of men are just like, you know what? I'm not going to go live by. It's like that old school movie from Groundhog Day when Bill Murray flipped his wig and started because he knew he could kill himself every day and he would wake up and he'd be alive and blah, blah, blah. He's not going to live by he said, I'm not going to live by their rules anymore. And the beautiful thing about being able to make money via various different platforms nowadays is it allows people in general, not just men, but everyone in general, to be able to make a living and make a life not based on societal's norm, aka get a job, get a degree, get a certification, buy a house, have a family, get married, and die, raise a family and die. There's so much more to life than that nowadays, and there's always been much more to life, nowadays. But so many people were placed. And I'm guilty of this myself. We were all placed in a box because we were all fed this old-fashioned sense of the American dream, which for a lot of people is an American nightmare. Because I have a picture on my desk that says, a job stands for just over broke if you don't know how to make money outside of your job. It ticks some people off because I have it at my desk at work. I have it at my desk in my house. And it takes certain people off because they're like, well, what do you mean by that statement? I said, well, read into the statement. Do you know how to make money outside of this job? No? Well, you better learn, because if not, like the great Warren Buffett says, if you don't learn how to make money in your sleep, in today's world, you're going to work until the day you die, because the 401k is just not going to cut it unless, to me, my personal opinion, unless you're putting at least $500,000 or $200,000 into it every year. So that's just my opinion. I'm not going to act like I'm a global economist, but everything is a setup nowadays if you don't have multiple streams of income. It's just, it is what it is. That's the world we live in. Another thing is a lot of people are just not as content with just having a job, especially in today's world. And because it takes a lot of time away from their family, takes a lot of time away from them having a good life, things of that nature. These are just things to take into consideration. I really cannot put it any other way. Okay. Make sure everything is good, because I'm about to and the reason why I chose this topic today, because this article today, this morning, just came up to me on Google. It says, men making good money in the prime of their lives are leaning away from demanding jobs, and it could be because they are reevaluating their priorities. And to me, that says a lot. People are reevaluating, and this is just men. This is men and women. Everybody is reevaluating. The pandemic really, people were doing this before the pandemic, but the pandemic just intensified this all at the same time, with people saying, hey, how can I make more money from home? How can I look outside of the box and live outside of the box? How can I passive income is the way, passive income is the way, how can I get it going? These are things that not even were, but are on people's minds on a regular basis. Okay. It's just something to take into consideration. All right. And like I said, during the pandemic, it really brought on, hold on a second. Yeah. So it all really, sorry about that. It all really just came into fruition when you look at the Great Resignation, the quiet quitting, all that. And this is not just, men, this is men and women, all, et cetera, and so forth, the whole quiet quitting thing, and to me, I was all for it because, at the end of the day, you had a lot of people that were just like, look, I want more, and this isn't cutting it. This is not cutting it for me, and I gotta look outside of the box. Okay, I gotta look outside of the box. I gotta live outside of the box. But the Great Resignation, the quiet quitting, and the looming recession, as the article says, have caused major changes to the labor force. First, workers quit in droves due to the pandemic-induced burnout, especially in the medical industry. Then some of the ones who stayed on the job quietly started doing minimum work, and just doing, minimal work just to ensure that it did enough to not take the boss off completely, but they weren't, quote unquote, meeting certain deadlines when they were supposed to. And more recently have come mass layoffs, and that's another thing that's happening right now. Well, especially with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. The job cuts that have started in the second half of the 2022 have basically sped up in 2023, threatening workers across a number of industries, especially the tech industry. Now, before I go on, this does not come as a surprise to me. One, because of high inflation. Two, because more people are doing the best to just buy the necessities and not buy any wants. And therefore that means it slows down consumer spending at a specific pace. That's just something to take into consideration. All right, that less consumer spending, less profits for corporate America to turn out. That we all know these things. These are simple principles. And then another thing to take into consideration is that you still have that global, hey, not global, but that national mindset in the United States of America of, hey, how can I team up better? How can I team up more people to maybe have a different mindset, and therefore let that new mindset transition into something that's going to allow me to make more money online? How can I trade my dollars for hours instead of trading my hours for dollars? More and more people have got more savvy in regards to how they can make money in the stock market with cryptocurrencies. More and more people are just developing more side hustles. More and more people are doing the whole minimalist mindset, meaning that the idea of having a single family home isn't as appetizing as it used to be for a lot of people, for a lot of families. The living below your means mindset is a growing thing, and people don't realize that. Even a lot of people are opting out on getting married. People are opting out on having children. People are opting out on all the quote unquote social norms of things that people enjoy, but in certain instances can put one in a lot of debt to where they are stuck at their job and they cannot move forward, with other things that they might want to do in this life. That's why I say it's, in a sense, it's a new day for men, because the option, especially just think about the younger men that are leaving high school and college now. This generation has much more access to information than any other generation in history. And I had the information about, having kids in high school, and I was like, not going to be me. I'm not knocking anybody who did, but I said, nah, I'm good. Even when I started doing the do, I made sure it was from a safety perspective. I'll just keep it at that. I'm not going to go into other details. But young men and women leaving school nowadays, they have the access to the information. They can't say they didn't know. Ignorance of anything nowadays is no excuse, because we have this beautiful thing called Google. We have this beautiful thing called YouTube, where you have the one-on-one aspects on darn near every subject matter out there known to man, woman, or child. Okay, I'm just going to keep it real on that one. But anyways, the latest trend is young men with at least a bachelor's degree spending fewer hours working. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research earlier this month of January found that they spent an average of 14 hours less annually on the job between 2019 and 2022. The decline was far less over the same period for similarly qualified women who worked 3 fewer hours. And that is about the size of it on that aspect. But the main reason why I see more and more people, men, saying to themselves, "Hey, I'm going to quiet quit. I was just watching, because I'm thinking if I can find the right, and I don't mind putting this out there online. I'm thinking about if I can find the right partners, of possibly opening up a junk removal business. To me, I think that would be very lucrative, and I've actually found some people that actually own their own junk removal business, and hey, it's something to look into, because it's one of those businesses that, one, isn't talked about enough, and two, it's not quote unquote sexy, but who cares about sexy if it pays the bills? There's plenty of people who are master electricians, master freaking plumbers, and they make more money than people with a freaking master's degree or a doctorate. Okay, and if they have their own side hustle, or if they have their own business, they're getting way more tax write-offs than your quote unquote high paid employee. Because when it comes down to the junk removal business, one thing I can say with sincerity is that there's people that can make $300 a pop per job. I did the math, 350, 300 to 350, so $350, and you do 4 jobs in one day. That's $1,400. That's $1,400 right there. All right. That's 14, and you times that by 5, to say in 5 days, you got $7,000. You got $7,000 right there. So that's just something to, the especially like they said during the pandemic, the junk removal business intensified because more and more people were at home. They had more time to be at home. They had more time to be like, hey, I need to get rid of this stuff. They had more time to reevaluate the priorities. You had a lot of people who actually did downsize on their homes and not have and not have um, big oversized single family house that they had to show off to other people. They move into apartments, they move into condos, they move into Rambler, rancher houses and whatnot. So one level homes. These are just things to take into consideration. But yeah, junk removal business. All right. Same thing with because the beautiful thing about a junk removal business is one of those, it doesn't have to be full time. So you have a lot of people. I was listening to a young man today talking about how he started his business in Michigan while he was still working his full-time job. And when he set up his website, he's like, hey, my business hours only on these specific days, these specific hours, because we only are available at this time. And then, of course, he was talking about, hey, we only do residential and not commercial. And until he grew his business, now he does residential and commercial because he has a fleet about 3 trucks and he has a crew of workers. So it's a different thing when it just started off with him and his younger brother and one of his friends. It's just something to take into consideration. But the reason why I say it's a new day for men in the United States of America is because more and more men are thinking outside of the box from an economic standpoint. More and more men are thinking outside of the box from a relationship standpoint to see what even kind of relationship that they want to have, as far as with a significant other. Do they want to get married? Do they want to have children? These are things and the gender war thing online, I'm not with it. I'm not even going to respond to it. I laugh at it because I don't have time to argue with grown-ups online. That's just not my deal. Real talk, Chris. Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't have time to argue with people online, but like I said, the main thing I respect about this younger generation is because they have more access to information, they have more of a mindset to have more choices in regards to what they're trying to do and where they're trying to be, because they know this younger generation knows that from a financial standpoint and a health standpoint, you are in more jeopardy nowadays than you ever have been at any time in the United States of America if you do not take action as soon as possible. If you do not have a relationship with figuring out how develop a great relationship with money before you decide to develop a great relationship with a significant other. A great relationship with being healthier before you decide to have a great relationship with just having reckless sex and getting drunk and high all the freaking time. This is the mindset of a lot of younger people because they get it, they understand it, and they don't want to end up in their 40s and 50s in a wheelchair if they could avoid it, or dying earlier, having high blood pressure. They don't want to have 6 or 7 kids and whatnot just because they wanted to be sexually reckless and things of that nature. They are thinking more responsibly, and they are trying to do what they need, what is necessary to have a better life, because they know that there are no more pension plans. There are no more backup plans. If you're not about getting your money right, if your circle of people ain't about nothing, then you ain't going to be about nothing, regardless of any specific situation. I had to learn that lesson later in life. I wish I would have had that lesson earlier in life, in regards to getting away from the wrong people. You know what I mean? Because I think that my life would be different, and various others' lives would be different if, like me and Chris talk about this all the time, I would have had the right mentorship and the right group of people around me in regards to, hey, if you do X, Y, Z with your dollars, and you go without having a car even longer, hey, maybe you can do X, Y, Z. If you get your credit in line sooner, because when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I feared credit. I didn't even want to get it. When I was trying to buy my first house, I was told I didn't have enough credit. I wasn't in bad debt. I had no children, no student loan debts, no alimony. Still ain't got none of that to this day. But I was told I didn't have enough credit, so therefore I had to get a different kind of loan for my first property because I was more of a cash guy. It is what it is. So that's just something to take into consideration. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, before I end this off, because I'm not trying to be on all night, it's a new day for men because men just like women have more choices, and they are becoming much more educated in regards to the decisions that they're trying to make in this life. They're not just trying to, be reckless and, then be the type that gets on social media screaming and crying, woe is me, why me, life sucks because I decided to do all this reckless stuff in my younger age and whatnot. And look, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But everything is a business in the United States of America, and I really cannot stress that enough. So every decision you make, whether good or bad, you're going to pay. It's that old saying, you don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Because even when you go to jail, you're going to pay. People come out of debt from going to prison. I hope you realize that. People come out of debt from having children, especially if they get a divorce. That beautiful thing called child support. People go into debt if they get in the wrong marriage and they end up having to pay alimony. Everything is a business decision. I'm not taking away a parent's love for their kids. I would never say that. I'm not taking away anybody's love for a significant other. I'm not saying that. But in America, everything is an economic decision. I'm not going to break it down again because I did that yesterday. But everything is an economic choice, where you live at, who you work for, what kind of business you have, what relationship you have, the children you have, the state you live in. Everything is an economic choice. Even you could be in the most cheapest state on the planet. You're going to have to make up a financial difference one way or another. You're going to pay. It's just the game goes. The only people that are really free from the system are home people because they don't have bills outside of a couple of free cell phones. But outside of that, you're going to pay one way. But the thing is, do you want to pay to play, or do you want to pay to just have it their way? I don't want it to be like Burger King, for the system to just have it their way and for them to get theirs and for me to not to get mine. I want them to get theirs. I want to get mine so everybody can shine. Okay. So I really cannot stress it enough on that one. Because at the end of the day, as my brother from good old Houston, Texas would say,
don't hate the player. Don't hate the player.
Hate the player, hate the game. And if anybody tells you to not go after dreams and to not, sometimes you don't have to freaking go along with the flow, or as the one basketball player would say, go along to get along, because that's the world we're living in now. We're not in the go along, get along game. Regardless of what college you're in, regardless of what grade school you're in, I hope that your parents are teaching you something outside of that. We are definitely in a rich dad, poor dad world, more than we ever had for in freaking U.S. history. But it's all about who's going to execute. It's all about who's going to be leaving any sort of assets behind for other people and setting up your children. It's all about the circle that you're with so that you can discuss business ideas, and not like today's big thing is everybody's either happy or ticked off that Philadelphia won and they're going to play whomever in the Super Bowl or to get to the Super Bowl, whatever have you. I don't follow sports, so forgive me if I did it all wrong. But I really don't give a what, because it has no freaking bearing on my life. Whoever wins the Super Bowl, more power to you. Does nothing for Larry Patterson. Larry Patterson's trying to make money moves in this life, because Larry Patterson, by the time in the next couple of years, wants to be retired and not be worried about no job. That don't keep it real. Okay. I'm just keep it real. You always got to bring that classic Booker T in there. So unless Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas, whomever's going to give me a check, there's no reason for me to get upset whether they win or lose. All right. And when anybody comes at me with the nonsense, I just have to go old school Louis Gossett Jr.
No different than anyone else. No different than anyone else.
You really believe that nonsense you're saying? You really believe that nonsense you're saying?
Look at me when I talk to you. Look at me when I talk to you.
Some days I'm gonna cry like my older uncles used to get to when young people will come at them with the nonsense. But let's have a great day. Time for me to get up out of here. Do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. It's all about getting yours in 2023. It's execution time, execution time, execution time. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't let nobody hold you back. Don't let societal norms hold you back. Don't let people tell you what you're supposed to do if they're not doing exactly what you're trying to do right now or in the future. Because we've all been at that place of school, work, a circle of friends where we listen to people just because they look cooler or had a nicer car or nicer house and whatnot, and they would give us information that really had nothing to do with what we're trying to do in the future. All right. On that note, I'm out. Take care. And as I always say, make money moves, or you're going to live like the world we live in. On that note, out here.
Mike, now. Mike, now.